Hello, everyone. I am Ebony,
And I am Paris.
and this is the podcast with no name. This is our section, Ari, a real discussion, and we are discussing the four agreements. Technically, this is video four so far, but the second one we're recording today. And if you watched our previous video, Paris wanted to start this one off as a continuation of what we were just talking about.
Right. So we were just talking a little bit before this about domestication, and we are talking about not being ourselves. That one of the biggest fears humans have is to truly be themselves. It's not death, it's to go out into the world truly as themselves. And because, they always tell you when you're in school, it's like, there's a basic need that every human needs. It's like food, shelter, water. After that, it's socialization. After that, you need to have another person. You need like the family. You need your clan. You need your crew to continue on to have like a sustainable life. And so a lot of people may have a fear of going out and being their authentic self and being ostracized, being othered. And so they kind of like repress themselves. They fall into perfect roles, and then they go back into this book of law that we said that we created for ourselves, and essentially in our minds created for others. Um, because we start to judge them as well. But on page 18, it said, we know we are not what we believe we are supposed to be, so we feel false, frustrated, and dishonest. We try to hide ourselves and we pretend to be what we are not. The result is that we feel unauthentic and wear social masks to keep others from noticing this. We are so afraid that somebody else will notice that we are not what we pretend to be. We judge others according to our image of perfection as well, and naturally they fall short of our expectations. So again, it's about what you're saying of like having a mask on that you're already wearing because you're trying to present something to everyone else. And you build all this anxiety, all this frustration, so much work for yourself and trying to keep up this mask that you want everyone else to see you as, that you can't relax. You can't even begin to fully enjoy the life that you've curated for yourself, because you have to continue on in that path so that people continue to like see you in that manner, see you in that way. You have to continue to live the lie. You have to continue to wear the mask. And at the same time, you're also suspicious and not making any real connections with other people because you're judging them, because they're like, where your mask at? Like you said at the ball, everybody came here with the mask. Where your mask at? We all look like this. Why you don't look like this? And so you're building this clique of more false people. And in this day and age, social media has made that so much worse. People already had that problem. And now you're trying to put out to the world, not just family, you're trying to put out to the world that you're also this.
I agree. And I have this conversation all the time that people don't experience you, they experience themselves, because people are just a reflection of who you are. We're all one. I believe that. And so most of the time, if you're not a conscious being, a person is not really experiencing you, they're experiencing themselves. So for instance, if you can talk to any of the many people who met Ebony, and each one of them will have a different experience of Ebony, not because I am different in each scenario that, like people would try to pretend like, oh, I'm wearing a mask, or so it means I show up different to each scenario. No, people will have a different experience with me based on the experience that they're having with themselves, because they may not even see me. 9 times out of 10, they don't see me, right? So whatever book of law feeling that they have about themselves, whatever insecurity that they have about themselves, they will project it onto you, and it's not even necessarily about you. So I can be in one environment and two different people, example or experience of Ebony are completely different. And what I find it so strange is when many people can go, yeah, that person's this way. It's very interesting to me when that happens, because it's like, I believe that person is trying to control the narrative. Because, for instance, we know a person who is extremely quiet, extremely reserved, right? And I tell that person all the time, I believe it's because you don't want to let people know who you really are. You're afraid that if people see who you really are, they will reject you, right? So every person that this person is around, they'll go, oh, this person is quiet. They're so reserved. They're so stoic, and they're so this and they're. I don't believe every person that you meet should say the same thing about you. How can they? We all experience life based on how we view life, how we see life. And if they all see you the same way, you're controlling the narrative. And that's what I mean by wearing a mask. People are supposed to experience you the way that they are experiencing themselves. Period. You can't change it otherwise. If you do that, it's manipulation and you are controlling the narrative. And that's what social media is. That's what these masks are. It's just ways of you presenting to the world in inauthentic ways to have a consistent idea of who this person is. So it's not a unique experience that you're having with another human being. It's a generic experience that you're having with all human beings. And it's like, that is mind-boggling. That is the saddest thing to me, that people have a hard time being themselves. I was watching that Belle play, the redo with Belle with her. And so I haven't seen it since a kid. And it starts off with like her going through the town, and the whole town starts singing about how she's so weird, how she's so different from them. And it blew my mind. I was like, wait, so each human is different. We all experience our world different, but you all are singing a song about how she's different and y'all the same. And that sits that sits well deep in your pit of your stomach, that you the same as everybody else on this block, and you are annoyed and talking trash about the one person who dares to be themselves. And that's how deep our domestication is. That's how deep our programming and conditioning is that we will literally make fun of for somebody being different when everybody is literally different. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I agree, and I feel like to me, like a good like kind of test on that is like when you go out somewhere and you see someone who's dressed very different. Like most of us in general kind of dress the same, like jeans, t-shirt, jacket, whatever. Some people more fashionable, but then there's people who really have like a very distinct style. And to me, I don't find anything wrong with someone who has a distinct style to stop and stare and take it in, you know? And I mean, like, I'm a person, like, if you look different, like, I will look at you and be like, oh, but there's a difference when you look at me and I look at you and I smile because I embrace who you are and just being like, oh, that's different. Versus when you look at me and I'm like, because I was staring at you in judgment, and now that you looked at me, I'm like, this weird person's looking at me. And I feel like it's the same way, like if I see another person do that, are you also stopping and taking in and be like, man, that's cool, and I've never seen that belt before, and the colors and what's going on with the hair and this and that, and the person's style, you smile and go, hi, like I like that's different, interesting, like cool beans, or are you just like, and it's like how many people, like you're saying, are looking at somebody who's so different and being like, ew, versus just being like, oh, okay, that's different. Like take it in and just be like, that's different. And the interesting thing about that too is because when you get into the rest of the book, the main gist of the book is to mind your business. And if you mind your business and you're not minding their business, your business be taken care of. Because I'm like, if I'm minding your business, then what's my business doing? Like, I don't even know. So, and everyone should be the same way. And so I feel like the general gist of the book, like it'll break down, and it's like a more depth of it. But I feel like the general message is like, mind your business. And if you take care of yourself and do yourself, you'll find that you'll probably surround yourself with a lot more people who also take care of themselves, you know, and do their own thing. And all of y'all gonna be happy. All of y'all don't need to agree all the time. Y'all don't need to do the same thing. Y'all can enjoy each other's company when y'all do the same thing. But you ever like been to a place and like you're going to an event and you go, man, this booth is over there. I really want to check that out. And you go, hey, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go check. The person's like, no. You need to stay with me. Like I need to go there. Or they go, I don't want to go to that booth. You go, yeah, that's fine. Do it here. I'm gonna go check this one out. And they go, why are you leaving me? I'm not leaving you. I know where you are. You do this. I'm not really interested in it. It's fun. Or I want to go check this out real quick and I'll do that. And it's just like, why do we have to have like why is this a whole conversation of me also having a separate interest from yours and pursuing that separate interest for just a few minutes and then coming back? And it's again about the mask or like the grouping into everyone. It's like we all need to be doing the same thing. We all need to be thinking the same way. We all need to be looking the same way. We all need to be going the same way. And it goes, you don't have to if you don't want to. You don't need to. You know, it's not necessary. But it's easier. And that's the truth. Most of the people will do it that way because it's easier. You know that for a fact. Mm-hmm. Because nothing is easy for you.
Nothing is easy for me, but I'm not even mad about it because the exchange that I get from going against the crowd, from being myself, even though I have a lot of gatekeepers that try to stand in my way and miserable people who try to make me miserable. What I realize is that I have inner peace, I have joy, I have happiness, and ultimately that's what everybody wants. Now, if the question is, are you brave enough? Are you, you know, in touch with yourself enough to be able, and resilient, anti-fragile enough to be able to step away from the crowd and resist conforming and coming back, even though you know it's numbing? Because I find the more that you conform, the more you feel dead on the inside. It's in the stepping away that you feel alive.
Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and move into the first agreement, which is on page 25. And the very first agreement is be impeccable with your word. I didn't get a chance to tap this book. This is a book I borrowed for someone else. So you tell me your taps.
Okay. Because we already did one for this. So we're just going to go over the highlights, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I just have two reds in there. Let's just do those two.
Okay.
Okay. My first one is on page 52. Mm-hmm. Okay. It says, if you live without fear, if you love, there's no place for any of these emotions. If you do not feel any of these emotions, it is logical that you will feel good. When you feel good, everything around you is good. When everything around you is great, everything makes you happy. You are loving everything that is around you because you are loving yourself, because you like the way you are, because you are content with you, because you are happy with life. Right. So this kind of reminds me of two of my favorite books, I Move Your Cheese and Who Moved Your Cheese. So I Move Your Cheese is the second one. And he's talking about like, no. It's the first one, Who Moved My Cheese. And they go to leave the maze. First Scary and Sniff leave the maze. And so Hall wants to leave, right? And him keeps reaffirming fear in him. But finally he goes out into the maze and he starts to like move around and he asks himself like, oh, what would you do if you wasn't fearful, right? And so that was his driving point throughout the maze to go find more cheese. It's like, what would you do if you wasn't afraid? And so somewhere throughout the maze he realized like, oh, I'm feeling good. And why am I feeling good? He realized being back in the maze and chasing cheese again made him happy. And he was like, well, why am I feeling good? And he realized like, oh, I'm feeling good because I was able to laugh at myself and not be fearful anymore. Fear wasn't dictating my steps and how I move in the world. And once the fear is gone, then I feel good, right? And so we don't realize that many emotions is tied to fear, like so many emotions. We don't really understand emotions. Most people can name a good 5 and they don't realize like most of the emotions that you have, like even disappointment, is tied to fear. And so a lot of times absent of these fearful emotions is what's drowning out, you know, the good feeling, the, you know, making you feel something worth feeling and not numb or negative. It's because you are replacing any of the positive feelings with negative feelings, which AKA fear, right?
Right.
And so
So
I
how does
just
that
thought,
tie into being impeccable with your word?
for me, the way that it ties in is because once you understand all the ways in your life that fear manifests. So first it manifests is like in your thinking, and then eventually it manifests in your words, and then eventually your words
Mm-hmm.
become your habit. You see what I'm
Your
saying?
action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you realize like, oh, okay, I could change where it starts, which is the fearful beliefs, which will
Mm-hmm.
impact, you know, the way I think, feel, move in this world, and you eliminate the fear from your mind, then ultimately it removes all the blockages from all of the positive, you know, emotions. So even with your mindset, that's words, that's a conversation you're having with yourself, right? And so if you're removing the fearful words that you tell yourself about the situation, about who you are, about, you know, what type of experiences you'll have, then you can start to feel good. Kind of like what we always talk about. I think the reason why people don't get what they want in this world or really enjoy this world is because they have little to no expectations. They don't think about what they expect, and they don't set the intentions to receive them, right? So we never think about like, oh, how do I expect people to treat me? How do I expect my day to go? How do I expect this event to go? What are my intentions? What am I bringing? You know, what am I hoping to contribute? We never really think about these things, and without thinking about them and setting the intention, then we bring all of our past with us and everything that we've been taught with us. So it's a matter of knowing, okay, what am I thinking? Is it on that love side or is it on the fear side? Because they can't coexist. Either you're loving or you're in fear. So anytime you're out of love, whatever you're saying to yourself, whatever you're doing, whatever habits you have cannot be beneficial to your life. It doesn't improve the overall quality of your life.
Mm-hmm. And I think also like taking into that's exactly the point you made it of like being impeccable with your word. He explains it's not about just about what you say to other people, it's also about what you say to yourself. And it's very important to be mindful of what you say to yourself. Um, because you've given yourself that energy, you've put that out there into the world of exactly like this is the space that I have, this is the space I move in, you know, and this is the person I am essentially. So you have to be careful even in what you say with yourself. Also be nice and be gentle and understanding with yourself and as a person that you're growing and you're learning and you're coming to new understandings and you're breaking old habits and you're trying to evolve. And then when you can give that to yourself and be mindful how you talk to yourself, you'll be better at being mindful of also the words that you say to other people. Because either one that you say, you can't take it back. It's been said. Um, and so, like, even with my own children, there's been instances of when, you know, my child may have said something and I've been like really, really angry, whatever. And, you know, I'll have to talk to them later. And, you know, they may say, like, oh, you know, like, I'm sorry, mom, or this and that, or like, oh, you know, like, can I fix whatever? And I was like, you can do your best. But the truth of the matter is, you said what you said, and I felt what I felt. It's done. Um, and so now, you know, we have to move forward. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't apologize. But I tell them, you know, the whole thing about apologies is really for you to assuage your guilt and to start to force me to help you assuage your guilt. You know what I'm saying? And it's not saying you shouldn't apologize, But if you do in it have the sincerity in it to understand that, hey, someone was hurt in something, and I also want to be mindful that I don't repeat that behavior.
Right.
Because if it's not for that reason, you're actually giving me more work to do in the harm that you've caused me. So even in that, again, being impeccable in your word, your sorries should be genuine. Your sorries should be heartfelt. Your sorries should take in the full scope of what happened and the consequences and the results that you have from whatever happened. Don't say sorry as a rote thing that you say to someone when they express that they're displeased or hurt or something. Sorry should come when you have a full understanding of the situation and you have a strong conviction of that is a behavior that you don't want to repeat, and that wasn't something that you would want someone to feel or have felt or you would want to do to someone. So
I agree. I agree.
okay. So was there another red point that you
Yeah,
had?
it's
Okay.
another word. Okay.
What page?
58.
58. Okay.
It says if someone is not treating you with the love and respect, it is a gift if they walk away from you. If the person doesn't walk away from you, you will surely endure many years of suffering with him or her. Walking away may hurt for a while, but your heart will eventually heal. Then you can choose what you really want. You will find that you don't need to trust others as much as you need to trust yourself to make the right choices.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about this so often. As a matter of fact, we were just talking about
This is
this
actually
morning.
the second agreement. This is not the first one.
No, it's the first agreement.
No, it isn't.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think both of those were in the second agreement.
okay. So this video, I guess, is on the second agreement.
Yeah, sorry. So we're in the second agreement, and the second agreement is don't take anything personally. But it
Yes.
all plays together. But but the next one is about don't take anything personally. So anyway.
Yes. We was talking about this earlier about like trusting yourself and what faith is. And it's like back when I was younger, I used to think that people could hurt me. And now I just realized like, oh, you only have the power to hurt my feelings. And that's only if I allow you to hurt my feelings. I may not even allow it. I may be like, you was trying to hurt my feelings. Huh?
And that's the since we missed it, that was the very first point that he made, like in like the second paragraph. It says the only reason when he said don't take things personally, the only reason you would take something personally is because you agree with whatever was said about you. And if you don't make that agreement with that person, you can't take it personally. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But yes, exactly. It is exactly that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, and it's just a trust thing. It's like, all right, let's say that I do allow you the opportunity to hurt my feelings. Okay, so am I so fragile that you hurt my feelings and my life stops? Or do I trust myself and enough to go, okay, you hurt my feelings, but guess what? I got 2 box and I could just heal. Like,
yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like you hurt my feelings, but I'm like, you hurt my feelings for 10. I'll even give you a little bit. I might give you like half a day.
Yeah.
Half a day you hurt my feelings. And then I moved on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, their little things, I'll be like, I ain't doing that no more. And I'll throw it away. And it's literally, like you're saying, it's about breaking that agreement. Because like you've agreed, you've come in, like gone into the contract of whatever they said that offended you or made you upset. And it's just like at a point you just throw it away.
Well, I think most importantly is just because like to get to this point that I'm in, I had to go through I went through a lot to get here. I know like the discrepancies, the back and forth, the procrastination, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows. I know what it took for me to be here, right? Because I work on myself every single day. I make it a priority. My mission in life, my personal mission in life is to master myself. So I make it a priority to do that. And with all that saying, with all that said, like all that I know that I do, I know also where I fall short. And with that being said, I know nothing about you or your habits or your thoughts or what you do with your time and how you spend your life. I don't even know if you like or love yourself. So why would I grant you the permission to affect my internal world? And I don't even know how you feel about yourself. Far as I'm concerned, you may be miserable and just throwing out, misery because you unhappy. So if I grant you the opportunity to infect my internal world, I need to know on what premise. Like, I
Right.
need to know where you stand. Like, do you do work on yourself, or for instance, I talk a lot about this. If I don't know you to be a researcher and you start saying things, then I'm not taking it as this fact. I ain't never seen you spend your time that way. Where'd you get that research from? Instagram? So it's like, again, it's a matter of like, if you don't have the life that I want, then that means that obviously your internal world is not going to match mine. And if I don't know how you feel about yourself, then why should I care? And if I don't know how you spend your time, it has nothing to do with me. I can't take on what other people's beliefs and opinions are about me unless it is something that I could benefit from. Now, don't get me wrong, I could entertain any thought and idea, but the emotions are secondary. So you could say something to me like, Ebony, you're arrogant, and I could take it for a second and entertain the idea and think about my life and think about what arrogance means, and maybe do a little talking to other people and figure out what they say, and then I could form my opinion and go, no, I have a right to be offended because I don't know where that came from. Like, or that person is right. Let me take it on so I can use this to help me grow. And I really believe in general, it's more so about the experience that you're having, trusting yourself in your internal world, which will warp your external world.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing too is, what you just said. It says if a person is not treating you with love and respect, if they walk away, that is a gift to you. But also, like, that is passive. So if a person is not treating you with love and respect, if you walk away, that's a gift to yourself. Like,
Yes.
And mind you, me and Ebony, ride or die, road dog, got the crazy guy in grave, But there was a time, even with me and Ebony, where we both were like, look, we had to walk away because both of us didn't feel particularly loved or respected by the other person. We walked away and came back later. And we've also walked away from a lot of people for the exact same reason. And that is a huge gift. That is a huge blessing to give to yourself. And so they're basically saying, like, when you take this second agreement of not taking anything personal, the next part, he says, when you make that a strong habit, you avoid many upsets in your life. Your anger, jealousy, and envy will disappear. And even your sadness will simply disappear if you don't take things personally. So you're going into life with one, you're being mindful of your words, of like taking a minute and being like, I watched a movie. It's interesting. This is I'm gonna digress a little bit. But I watched a movie recently, and they were talking about a woman who's a celebrity, and she gets in a lot of trouble because she just says things. She says what's on her mind, and a person was saying, the reason like they don't like her is like because she's different. She's new to society. She says what's on her mind. She says what's everything's thinking, whatever. And a person said, it's very dangerous to think that saying whatever's on your mind is also speaking the truth. That's a big danger. And so I feel like nowadays, sometimes in the quest for authenticity, people will just want to be like, I just want to be myself. I just want to say whatever did. I'm going to be like my full self. And I'm like, no, you can be your full self without saying everything that's on your mind, with the first thing that comes to your mind, whatever. Because also, mind you, if you're not doing the second agreement, which is not taking everything personally, you're probably being ruled in your emotion. And so what you're saying may not even be real.
Or by the environment.
Which again may not be real.
Right.
You may not be speaking in a place of truth. If you're not being impeccable with your word and being mindful and thoughtful in what you say and how, you approach a situation.
I agree. I agree. But see that I think that that's a big problem too, because when you say it's a problematic celebrity, it's very sad that we have hundreds, maybe even thousands of celebrities. But I'm like, oh, it's only one of the three people because that's how
Well,
bad
this is a
people.
movie, but
Oh,
it's sad that
okay.
you can think, but again, it's sad
Because
that you can
that's how,
think of a real life
yes.
example.
It's
Yeah.
only two or three. If you want to think about all the entertainment industry, you know that there's only, a handful of people who will speak up against the ground or say things that they know may cause their, just rock the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's thousands of celebrities, and a lot of people say that, like, why are they just so quiet? Why are they letting this pass? Why they letting that pass? Is it because they're trying to protect their money? And it's like, no, you have to realize in real life, even if these people didn't have money, they just don't have the character where they would have spoken up. Obviously, a lot of times in not speaking up is how we get a lot of things. You see what I'm saying? So this person or these people in their real life, they wasn't people who spoke up. That's why they accumulated quickly, or and it's just so interesting, to see an outlier like that, or a rebel still kind of like make it in those echelons, because you're like, like that's not really okay.
Right. You're like, oh, you can still do that? You can say that and still be there? Like, that's what's up.
But it depends. See, that's another thing in what you were saying. Like, what I've noticed about even those people who do push back, they push back in a certain way. And we talk about a lot about the differences in the cultures between, European American and African Americans. We talk about the culture differences. And I think like the people who are even risky in entertainment, who push back, they still follow more of the European American guidelines, even when they pushing back. You see, and the people who tend to do more of the African American, they never make it to these levels. So it's still, like you said, you still have to figure out how to be, impeccable with your words and how to deliver the message so that the most people can receive it in the way that you intend to give it. Right now, is it your responsibility only? Because you could deliver the best message. If someone is committed to misunderstanding you, they will. Right, but at least you want to alleviate your part of it and go, I curated this message. I said exactly what I wanted to say. How they hear it, I can't necessarily control that aspect of it, but I know that what I did was in love. And that's always my goalpost. Is like, Ebony, if you're gonna burn it down, if you're gonna live in your shadow, do it with love. Right. So that's just my mind behind it. Is things need to be said, but if you can't do it with love, if it falls back to what you're saying, is it a matter of you being authentic, or by just saying what you think and not considering how the environment may be, dictating what you're saying and how you're saying it, which again is not holding up to your integrity. It's more so people pleasing.
Okay, I agree. Okay, well, we are on the end of this one. We happen to go a little bit into the second agreement because we pushed forward, but we can still do you still have a lot of notes on the second agreement?
No, I feel like do you want to talk about this? Because we talk about, I think we should talk about, because I have a topic that I think, let's do it.
All right. Well, we're going to end part one of the 4 agreements, which was being impeccable with your word, and a small introduction to it, a reintroduction to the book again. And I guess we're going to go ahead and go into the second one. But this was part 2 of the video before. I don't know what you're going to name it, but you'll see that.
And this is 4 of 4 agreements, the 4th one of 4th agreements.
Okay. So there you go, part 2. And so we're going to end it here. And Emily has a topic that she really wants to go on and get my opinion on. So we hope that you guys will join us in the next video. But for the meantime, this has been a podcast with no name, and this is a real discussion. And my name is Paris.
I's Ebony.
Oh my God. And anyway, we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.